Frank, it looks, as Gordon shared, it looks like they're preparing for a war footing in China. What are your thoughts?
I think they're on a war footing. It looks as though they're preparing to go into the next phase. But I just wanted to clarify one thing that has come up, and that is, will we be able to discern that they're ready to go actually against Taiwan, perhaps, or against us? And I think what's beginning to manifest is they're purposefully reducing what we call indicators and warnings because it's kind of steady state. They're having large numbers of personnel who are in proximity to Taiwan, for example. They've got amphibious lift, they've got airlift assets that don't necessarily need now to be mobilized in order to be pretty much ready to go. And then on the nuclear side, Gordon's absolutely right. We're, I think, all been somewhat stunned to discover just in the past couple of weeks that these missile silos for immensely powerful missiles are sprouting up like mushrooms after the rain. But the question to my mind is, how many of those DF-41s are running around in the 3,000 miles of hardened underground tunnels that the Chinese have been operating now for some years? We don't know the answer. Where they are, how ready they are they, good to go? I think our assumption has to be they are. And if so, the warnings, the mobilization, the kind of things that would give us some higher reason to be on alert are going to be much diminished. So all of that is very worrying if you're talking about the war footing that they've been putting forward, and making all the more important Gordon's point that the propaganda, that the information that they are disseminating to their own people as well as to the rest of the world is perhaps the most important indicator that we are actually likely to have at this point, and it's in full offensive mode.
Right. And one of the things, Gordon, I want to ask you is we're seeing very famous Chinese celebrities, the billionaires that the Communist Party set up, disappearing, being scrubbed from the internet. And we're seeing just strong statements of what a communist nation we are. Is this war footing because they think that we're weak and it's time, so they could take Taiwan? Or is it because they're internally, you've warned about the weakness internally in China for years, is it because their economy is imploding internally and they're having to take a strong stance, or is it both?
I think there are a number of things going on. It's hard to tell because China's becoming less and less visible to us as time progresses. But my sense is that what Xi Jinping is doing is he is in a struggle with other senior Communist Party leaders. You remember Mao Zedong in 1966. He was pretty much on the outs. And what he did was he tried to mobilize the Chinese people against those in Beijing who had taken his power from him. That started the Cultural Revolution. 10 years of the most abnormal period in Chinese history. Almost destroyed China. Xi Jinping, this is not the Cultural Revolution right now, but we're starting to see parallels today about how Xi Jinping is mobilizing Chinese society against his political enemies. It's very much what Mao Zedong did. We know that Xi actually reveres Mao, and so we shouldn't be surprised he's taking this out of his playbook. So for instance, we have this attack on celebrities you talk about, on effeminate men, which is a big part of it, on gay, on the Me Too movement. It is just comprehensive. And at the same time, Kevin, Xi Jinping is closing Chinese society off from the world. So there's an attack on foreigners, which is a main part now of his propaganda. So these are occurring in tandem, and it suggests that there are turmoil at the top of the Communist Party. We know about the problems, the debt crisis, which is hitting China right now. And we know that Xi Jinping is being blamed for a lot of this because these are his policies that are producing bad results for Beijing. So you put it all together, you got to worry that Xi Jinping just figures he might lash out. Just a couple other things. he's reduced the cost. His predecessors reduced the cost of losing political struggles. Xi Jinping has raised it. Also, Xi Jinping took a consensual political system where nobody got too much credit, nobody got too much blame, and he's grabbed power from everybody. So he has total accountability. You put those two things together, Xi Jinping realizes if he's going to be blamed, he might die. He might lose his life. So he might as well just roll the dice and attack Taiwan or try to go after the US Navy or whatever. But the point is right now, Xi Jinping has a very low threshold of risk, which means he can take us by surprise.